the greatest.
Hey, you know JayRay got girls here going way.
It's just a headache. All right, y'all know I suck at intros, so we're just gonna get straight into it. This is my dad, my father. He adopted me back in 2009. No, I'm just kidding. This is my
your MCOM dad.
Yeah, my MCOM dad, Professor Joe Dennis, at Piedmont University. I suck at intros, Joe, so don't judge.
Really?
I hate intros.
All right, we know something that you need to work on there. Let me put a note.
I suck at that, but yeah, this is Joe Dennis. Do you want to tell the folks about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Joe Dennis. Dr. Joe Dennis, but everyone calls me Joe, just Joe, which was my radio name. So I have a long history back kind of in media. Since 1998, I've been a professional journalist, a professional radio disc jockey. I was a wedding DJ. I was a sports information director. I worked in corporate public relations. I was a news editor for a community newspaper. I was director of a high school press association, and now here I am. I'm a professor of mass communication and chair of our department here.
So you got a little bit of mix of everything, Joe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's been great.
Now, how was that? I never knew you was a DJ. Like, what is a wedding DJ? Like, they just book you for weddings to DJ?
Yeah, we would. It was my buddies and I had it was his business, Hit Mixin' Productions, and we would. He had different engagements, weddings, parties, like school dances, things like that. And he hired me and a couple of our friends. And because his business got so big that he would have multiple bookings like on a Saturday. So we would go and we would DJ the wedding reception.
That's cool for a person I know that's really into music.
Yeah,
So,
it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Scariest thing, though, is announcing the bride and the groom, like in the wedding party, when they walk out, because, you know, some of the names are tricky, especially up in the Chicago area, which is where I'm from, and that's where I did it. There's a lot of like Kowalskis and Grabowski and a lot of like difficult to pronounce names. And
those are those like Jewish names?
I think those are more Polish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to get canceled, so I'm not going to take that any further than it. But yeah, Joe, I really need you on the show because I had, you know, we have our little therapy talks, and one of the questions I'm always wrapping around my mind, it's kind of with all the professors in mass communications, but specifically you, how do you juggle it all? Like for those out there, because Joe, you're literally a professor. Do you still do play-by-play for like some hockey team?
I'm public address announcer, for UGA hockey.
Your father, your husband. In the summers, you're still nonstop. You do like journalism stuff. You were
Little League coach, high school Sunday school teacher.
Joe, how do you how do you juggle it all and then find time for the family and for yourself?
It's funny you asked that because we went to Chicago for the winter break to visit my mom, and I still have family who lives there. And I also have a lot of friends, obviously, that still live there. So I usually try to organize a friend night. And one of my best friends since second grade, he came out and we were just chatting, and he asked the same question. He's like, how do you do all that stuff? And it's interesting because when I'm in the moment, when I'm living my life, I don't feel like I'm doing a lot of stuff. I mean, I guess there's a lot, I'm busy. I know, like I feel busy, but I don't feel like, oh my gosh, this is so overwhelming. I think what it is everything that I do, I'm passionate about. So there isn't one thing that I do that I don't love. I love my job. I love teaching. One of my mentors, Dean Charles Davis, who is the dean of the Grady College at UGA, he one time was giving a speech to high school students, and I happened to be there. And it was so inspiring because he talked about find a job that makes you love Mondays. He's like, because everyone loves Fridays. You know, everyone looks forward to the weekend. And yeah, we absolutely should look forward to the weekend. But he said, you know what? I also love Mondays because I love I had my weekend. I love coming into work. I love what I do. And I'm like, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And so I love Mondays. I mean, I love my job. Now, of course, not all the time, but you're never going to be 100% satisfied. So I guess when it doesn't feel like work, because I can imagine if I worked in a factory, let's say, like what my dad did, worked at Ford, and you're doing the 9 to 5 or whatever, and it's just tiring work, and you're doing it solely to make a paycheck, and you don't feel the results of your work like I do. I guess, maybe you come home and be like, I just need to chill. But because I love what I do, I can drive from my job to the Little League baseball field in Athens and coach my team because I love that. I love baseball. I love coaching. Of course, there's a lot of similarities in coaching and teaching.
Yeah.
And I love working with the kids and just seeing the joy on their faces and being an influential part of their life. And same thing when I teach Sunday school. And
You teach Sunday school?
Mm-hmm.
Chill.
Yeah.
I think you drive an hour. Like, people don't even understand, y'all. It's a commute because I think you stay closer to
Live in Athens, yeah.
And Demarest is like an hour away. So it's like, I just, I don't know. I get the passion part, but then it's like I have similar dreams and goals where I have these short-term and long-term goals where I want to juggle a lot of things too. But it's like, it's so much time consuming. And you see a lot of these celebrities nowadays, families, they get broken because of that. Simply because of the fact that, for example, Kanye. I'm pretty sure Kanye is a great father, but it's just, for example, he does so much. He at one point he was creating clothes. He was a rapper. He was, I don't know if he ever did any movies or productions and stuff, but he's just always doing something. He's always at fashion shows. He's always some type of business, he's a business mogul, so he's always doing something. Yeah. And I was wondering when he's at find time. And Kim's always doing the same thing. Right. So, I don't know.
I think one thing about time is, I'm trying to think how to phrase this because it's in my head, but I don't like having a lot of spare time. And it happens to me every summer. Of course, I'm lucky to have a job where I get summers off, 9-month employee, and I would never change that. If Piedmont said, "Hey, come work," 12 months out of the year, I'd be like, "No, thank you. I'll keep my 9 months." But I know, especially those first few weeks of summer, because, I just got off the semester, and it's, how things are for students. I know how crazy it is at the end of the semester. Yeah. It's like that for faculty as well. And so I just unwind and, I'll sleep until noon and I won't do anything. I'll binge a couple Netflix shows, maybe things that I want to catch up on. And then after, I'll do that for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of that first Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of summer break. And then I'm like, now what? Yeah. I'm bored. Yeah. I'm bored. And that boredom feeds itself. That's the bad thing I've noticed about me, at least in my personality. If I don't engage myself in something, well, I'm just going to be like, oh, I'll binge watch another series here. And then I'll start justifying it. Well, I'm a mass communications professor. I'm actually working right now as I'm binging a show.
Yeah. So, that's interesting because I had a question in my head. I lost train of thought, but never mind. Let's go on to the next thing. I forgot.
That's okay.
My second question was, because this goes into, I found an Instagram post that's pretty interesting. I'm probably going to ask DVC this when he comes on here too. So I was like, I wanted to know what marriage is like.
Ah.
Yeah, that's a question.
I'll tell you what.
Because you've been married for how long? 2 decades or 18 years?
Yeah, we got married in 2000, so it's easy to remember. 24 years now. We're in our 24th year, July 22nd, 2000. And my wife and I dated 6 years prior to that. So, we've been together for almost 30 years now. Yeah. But marriage, I'll tell you what, it's great, but it's something that needs to be worked on. And that's the one thing. Carla is my wife, and I will talk about sometimes, and we'll just look at, for example, I'm not calling anyone out, but our bridal party way back in the day in 2000, we had a huge bridal party because we had a Filipino that's complicated, but we had like 15 people in our bridal party, and we look at all of them, and all of them are either or had been divorced or were in a long-term relationship that broke off, like an engagement that broke off, and we're like, why isn't, what's happening? What's wrong with us? Like, at some point it's like, why is everyone getting divorced? What's our deal? But what it is we committed to working on our relationship, and that included on again, off again marital counseling, and just understanding each other and not being selfish, right? And also on the flip side, knowing that, let's say if I'm having a really bad day or I'm struggling and I just can't, right? So let's say I'm like that or she's like that. And let's say I come home from work and I'm really struggling. I'm tired. I'm cranky. I can't do this. And then she starts talking to me about her day. And I'll say, hey, hon, I can't do this right now. I'm sorry. And her not being offended by that, or me not being offended by that, because recognizing that me saying that isn't like, screw you. It's that I want to give you my full attention. I can't right now mentally. So let's check in later. And so that to me has been kind of the key of our marriage. It's just understanding each other and recognizing each other, not just as the person we fell in love with, but actual people that have ups and downs and different needs.
That's what's up. Because I heard J. Cole recently commented on marriage, and I think it was a podcast with Lil Yachty. And he said the same thing. He said people don't really understand how marriage works. It's you're not going to feel the same way you felt the first year. Every year is going to be different. People change, people evolve, but you got to be committed, like you said, to work on it, and just keep working, because it's not an easy road.
It's not. Yeah. And it's amazing. I actually, and Carla, we talked about this not too long ago, but like I feel like I'm more in love with her now than I ever was. And that is because we just have such mutual respect. I mean, I'm not joking. It has been probably a year since we had an argument. And that's amazing, right? Because that's a part of every relationship. Arguments are normal. But it's because of that ability to just recognize when the other person is not able to engage, I guess, is the right words. Yeah.
I think it takes maturity too. It got to be the two right people. A lot of, like what you said earlier about a lot of your friends, they either cut off short or so. Like for me, the way I see it in my generation, today's society, is a lot of people just get together too quick without trying to even get to know who the other person is. And that's the problem I have, like with our side. Like a lot of friends that I have, I remember one girl, she literally called me over the summer and told me she was trying to seek advice from me, whether she should break up with her boyfriend or not. And then as a friend, I try to get the whole story before I, just give her any random advice. And she tells me about a time where she was crying to him and he said, "I love you." And she couldn't say it back. And that's when she realized that maybe this isn't a relationship for her. And I'm in my head, but I have to be nice because she's in a vulnerable one. I'm like, well, yeah, I think you should have been able to realize if you loved him or not before y'all got together. You were just so caught up in like a lot of people I think are caught up in the whole look of the relationship.
Right.
Like a lot of people think these celebrities and when they travel and everything on social media, that's a whole nother topic, is relationship goals, where my mind is if I see a 70, 80-year-old couple walk in the park, that's my relationship goals, to make it that far, Yeah. And I think that's kind of lost in our generation, our today's society,
Right. Yeah. It's probably gone a complete 180 to where it was, because back, 100 years ago, very few people got divorced and people stayed in relationships that were broken, and for the wrong reasons, because divorce was so frowned upon. And now I feel, honestly, I really, and I'm not being critical of anyone specific or being critical of people who get divorced, because I believe that divorce, it's not like I'm against divorce. If it's the right thing for the relationship, sometimes some people can't stay together, and that's fine. But I do feel that people will check out without trying, and both men and women. It's on both sides, and that's unfortunate, because I really think the institution of marriage is a great thing. And I see what my mom and dad had. My dad passed away when he was 84, but seeing their old age and seeing them grow old, and how they took care of each other, and it was just a beautiful thing. And I'm like, wow, I want that.
Yeah, that. And I think to what you were saying, I think it like, in my opinion, I think it's deeper. I think when people, because you can't check out. I find it hard to believe. It's almost like when people just break up. Like if they're able to move on quicker than usual, I don't think they really like the person that they were in a committed relationship with. So when you say check out early without even trying, I think it's hard to really check out, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Maybe check out of a relationship, but you don't check out of the person. So you're going to try at least before you check out. Some people, to what you're saying, just check out immediately.
Right.
And
it's like
people,
I'm not happy anymore. All right. Divorce, breakup. Yeah. It's like, well, wait, no, that's normal to not be happy in a relationship. Exactly. I mean, that's 100%. You're not going to be happy 100% of the time with your significant other. So are you just going to bail, or are you going to explore this and work on it? Is the relationship worth it to you to try to salvage it? And, if the answer is no, then my question is, why did you get married in the first place? Because I know people make their own vows and stuff, but still, it's the vows. The premise of the vows is, we're going to be together when times are good and when times are bad.
Yeah. I think it stems from the beginning too. Like what I struggle with, the reason I'm asked a lot why I don't have a partner is because I value myself, and I value whoever I'm with. We're going to get to know each other. We're going to try to be as one, or something like that. I don't know how to coin it, but a lot of people don't try to get to know a lot of the problems I stumble with is like they catch feelings for me first, but it's like I'm thinking for both of us. So I'm like, you don't even know me yet. Like we've yet to have like a deep conversation of, do you know my religious belief? Do you know my short-term goals, my long-term goals, ideals that I have maybe that you might not agree with. I just don't know. Like that's the problem I have. And that's the problem I'm seeing so consistently. And then I see it in my friends when they come to me for advice, or we talk about relationships in today's society. And it's like, I think that's one thing that's missing. Like I did a episode, it's probably dropping Friday before next. And I was talking to these girls about, cause there was this list that went viral talking about how, it was a list of places to take a woman and what was acceptable, what was not. And everybody, the list went viral. I think they talked about it on the Breakfast Club. We talked about it here. And everybody's talking about how, on one side, everybody's talking about how certain places aren't acceptable because girls like to get cute. If you're going to take me to a place, it got to be a fancy place, this and that, third. And Charlamagne the God coined it so perfect, which I just couldn't articulate it. But he literally said, no, actually, I can play it. I can actually play it because I'm probably gonna butcher it as well. And it's actually on one of my other clips too. But he coined it so perfect, Joe. Like you couldn't coin it any better.
Charlamagne the God is awesome, and has coined a lot of great things.
He is. I hate when people try to demean him because of or try to degrade him because of his past, and it's like, dude's grown. Like I'm actually reading his book now, and I'm on his second book now, and it's from where he came from to where he is now.
I'll have to pick that up. Yeah.
And the current book I'm reading right now is Shook One, but the best one is Black Privilege because it talks about so much. But Shook One is pretty good too, but it talks more anxiety and stuff like that. But yeah, he coined this so well. Let me see if I can find it. If not, I'm just gonna have to I recently screen recorded. I don't know where it is now though. I had one of Kanye too. Or maybe I didn't screen record it. Maybe.
So do you edit these?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, what I usually do is when I can't find something and I don't like dead air, I just go, oh. Just elevator music. But I didn't feel like doing that, so. But I got it right here. I got it on my, I didn't want to spoil the promo clip, but we'll just take it from there. But yeah, again, he
Are you playing it?
Perfectly. I'm trying to.
Oh, it's on mute. It's on. Oh, is it on mute?
No, it's just not opening.
Oh, I see.
Apple's being stupid. I should have downloaded it. Yep, we're just gonna play the.
Okay.
Okay, it should be downloaded by now. We should be ready. All right, this is what Charlamagne the guy had to say.
It's just whenever.
Skip that part. Dang.
Y'all are not thinking about the person. Right. It's always something superficial. What can the person buy me? Where can the person take me? It's never about the indivial.
Taylor
y'all gonna miss out on good people because of these stupid ass expectations that y'all have.
Well,
And that's just all honesty all around the box. Not even just dating relationships. I've seen that a lot because I'm not just speaking straight off Instagram. What a lot of people see, and that's where a lot of people get their dating ideals from of what they want from a relationship.
Right.
And some of that stuff isn't even real. Like you only see you don't see everything that's behind closed doors. And somebody spoke on it where it was recently, I think, since the summer till now, a lot of celebrities have been getting divorced. And somebody in the comments was like, y'all treating divorce like something, I don't know, it's funny, but it's
like a Zempic.
Yeah, something like that. It is like, I think it starts from what you said when you have to build on stuff and understand that you have to be committed to working on it constantly. But I think it also starts from the beginning to what you expect. And you have to understand what a relationship is to truly find that partner. So you have to get to know that person. That's why I tell people a lot. When 3 months is too short for me to realize if I'm ready to commit to someone just in a relationship.
Facts. That's right.
Because I have to see you at your worst, your best. When you're sad, I have to be willing to see if I'm really willing to deal with that, or vice versa. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
no, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think also first dates like that meet all the expectations like that only set you up for disappointment later on, because that's not real life, you know, because we're not celebrities. We don't have endless amounts of money. You know, we can't go out to eat at a fancy restaurant every night. You know, some nights we're going to have BK, you know, it's like.
It's about enjoying the company of the person. I think that's what's missing.
Exactly.
So, that's just my 1-2.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Sorry it took so long to find the clip, y'all. Y'all know how unorganized I am. But last thing I wanted to ask you, Joe. So this is a post. It was in December. It was like over Christmas break. And Carmen Diaz, I know you know who she is, the actor. She says married couples having separate bedroom houses should be normalized.
Interesting.
Now, I'm going to be honest, and I don't know how my dad's going to feel about this, but it's all true honest. It's not I'm trying to put my business out there, but I am for those who may be going through the same thing. And because it wasn't as traumatizing for me as when I was younger, when I found out my parents were separated, but it was kind of odd because they're still separated today. They're divorced. They were separated at the time, they're divorced now, but they still live together. But I think before the separation, they had separate bedrooms. And I never really paid attention as much until as I got older. I started why don't they? As I started hanging around my other friends, and I'm like, why don't y'all? but I never questioned it or anything. But I find that interesting because you can take it two ways, but I'll let you.
Yeah. So she says having separate bedrooms should be normalized. Interesting. So what do I feel about that? I mean, to each their own. It's none of my business. I know I wouldn't want that. But I know my mom and dad, as they got older and the golden years, they had separate bedrooms for medical reasons. So of course there's always good reasons for it. But I think it's very realistic that I feel like if a married couple is having separate bedrooms but still are committed to the marriage, then fine. It works for them. Like, I don't have a problem with that. Now, I could totally see, having kids and kind of when you're a kid, anything out of the ordinary, anything that's different, could be traumatizing in a way.
That's what's literally in his book. He had one part where his therapist gave us like a breakdown. I forgot what it's called. It's like a psychiatric analyzation of what anxiety is and what is, and it broke. I wish I brought the book because I got all of it highlighted. It kind of hit me hard because it was like exactly some of the stuff I was going through, like what I wrote in that paper in your class about feeling different, feeling like I don't belong. And that gave me, I don't think it gave me necessary anxiety. Everything doesn't, that's what she was explaining. Everything is anxiety. But in a kid's brain, how a kid's brain works, she was breaking everything down, how like different things, how anything different that you're not familiar with can cause your brain to like ask questions that you really don't know the answers to. So it digs somewhere that isn't the right place, and then it makes you feel bad in a way.
And I think then as a parent too, I think it's important to recognize that anything out of the ordinary, quote unquote, what's normal, is going to potentially have a traumatizing effect. And I use that word. I don't mean it in a oh my gosh, I'm going to kill myself kind of way, but just it's going to seem, it can impact children. So I think what's important is to be just open and honest to your kids. Age appropriate, of course, but for whatever their age is, just to say, hey, mommy and daddy are going to have different bedrooms. We still love each other. We still love you, and we're still happily married, but however much detail you need to give, or choose to give, but just that reaffirmation that, so when, your son or daughter, goes to play at their friend's house and they see, wow, wait, their mom and dad have the same room. And then they go to another friend's house. Oh, their mom and dad have the same room. They know, okay, well, my mom and dad, they still love each other. It's just different, And I think, for example, like LGBTQ parents, right? Same-sex parents of kids. I think, they probably do a good job at that, because they have to. Like, you're going to go to someone's house, it's going to look different. Their family's going to look different, but we're still a family. And so I think that is what is so important, is to just try to, any type of situation like that's out of the ordinary, try to see it through your kids' eyes. And that's how you can kind of say, okay, wow, they're going to think that's strange. So let me talk to them about that and just let them know that, this isn't maybe what everyone else does, but it's okay.
That's actually great advice. That's the Joe. That's the dad Joe advice. Right. But I know, I agree. I sometimes I overthink. That's one of my, like, I guess you can say, I don't know the word, but sometimes I overthink, and it can get in the way of things. But I always think of things like that. Like I'm always overthinking, and sometimes in an overly mature way, I guess. But I guess you can never say overly mature, because you should always strive to be mature in some type of way. But I think that too. Like, I look at some of the things my dad did right during my childhood, and some of the things he may have did wrong. And I listen to a lot of these podcasts, and I like how a lot of fathers are starting to be open to their children versus back in the day. My dad even said his parents would hide stuff, and they'll just teach them the basics, what you need to know to survive, versus the emotional support and the mental support that a lot of parents are showing now. Like, I remember one podcast was so beautiful. He told He told him how he talks to his daughter like it, and I never thought of it that way. He was like, I don't talk to my baby like a baby. I talk to her like a grown adult.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, when she cries, I teach her, no. What do we do when we want something or need something? And she said she'll stop crying and she'll immediately go, we talk it out and we communicate. And I think that's a big thing because I didn't realize. I was like, dang. Because if you start them early, then because a lot of kids don't just cry when they're just in pain. They could be hungry, anything. And now you're trying to have to figure it out. Like, unlike a mother, like let's say your father, mothers just know. I don't know how it's called a mother instinct, right? Or something like that. Mother intuition. But like let's say your father, you're just scrambling to do things, and then you might feed her and she wasn't hungry, or you need to change her diaper and now she's getting a diaper rash because you're taking so long to figure out. And I just thought that was interesting. I thought it was beautiful. I would say this one of the parenting skills I learned from Will Smith, but he kind of contradicted everything. All that flew out the window when he slapped Chris Rock.
Yeah.
But one of his things was too. He said he never, in front of his children, he seen his father put his hands on his mother. So, and this was before the Chris Rock thing. He had said he had vowed to never argue or even raise his voice or use profanity in front of Jaden and Willow.
Wow.
And then the other kid, I don't know who he is. But
yeah. Wow. That's Yeah, that was so important in our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And Carla and I and we failed at that. Specifically me, like we're in a great place, 24 years later, and we still have, 2 kids that are not adults. So that's good, but it's hard. It's hard, when you're in the heat of the moment, it's hard not to react, especially if you have a tendency to be like that. But it's all you're going to make mistakes too. There's nothing is perfect, And so that's where, again, that whenever Carla and I would argue, and I would yell when I get mad, and I would, see if one of my kids was watching, and that would just like right away, like hit me like back to reality, snap me out of it. But then I always made sure to follow up with my kid that, hey, I'm sorry that I yelled. You saw Dad get real upset, and I shouldn't have reacted that way. And I apologize, and I love you, and I love your mom. So yeah, I just think we're humans. We're going to make mistakes, but as long as we're aware, that's the most important thing. And I think you talked about like fathers, holding everything back. I think what I see as a society now, we're getting better at that. It's kind of as a whole, where like you have athletes like LeBron and, I can't think of who's the other basketball player who came out about his mental health. Anyway, people.
Paul George?
Paul George, thank you. Opening up about their mental health struggles and that is so great because that normalizes it. And like, I think it's great when people are able to be honest about it. And that's not for everyone. Some people feel like it's their own personal business, which it is, and that's fine.
Especially in the male community, I think it's really important because I remember one time I was at a funeral, my aunt's funeral, and my dad, he started shedding a tear too, and I tried to cuddle him. He was like, I'm good, I'm on. And then afterwards, he apologized because he realized what that could do to me growing up and how it could shape. Yeah, and
don't cry.
Yeah, but that's how they were raised.
Right.
And that's why I wanted to do a documentary on my dad because it's funny because he didn't have a lot of male role models. He had one older brother, but like I said, my older brother kind of goes to my dad for advice and stuff like that. He's kind of like the older brother. Anybody, like I think he's like the second youngest, but everybody goes to him almost like he's the big brother.
Wow.
So I thought that was interesting how he had that perception, yet he was raised basically by his grandmother. So I was just, it was, you don't realize when you're a kid how much stuff, but then when if you can recollect on it and look back at it and then see where we're at today inside, I'm like,
well,
that's
and
crazy.
I think the important thing too is, and this is some of the things I had to come to terms with personally when I started going to therapy. So I'm not talking about couples therapy, but just personally. And this is years ago, but all the skeletons in my closet from my childhood and things that my parents did or didn't do, and that I can look at and say, wow, they did that wrong. But not being angry about it.
Yeah.
Because I know that they love me.
And they tried.
They love me and they tried their best. Just like I hope, 20 years from now, my son isn't writing a book about how, well, my dad yelled at my mom one time, and because I did, but that was wrong, and I admit it, and we're humans, and so not having a place of anger when you look back at stuff like that, but putting it out there, like recognizing it, and just like, oh wow, that's what that was.
Yes, yeah. You hit the nail, Joe. You hit the nail, because that's where I've been at. I've never been able to articulate it, because I've always looked at it. That's why I can't get mad. I used to get mad at my dad for how some of the stuff, some of the ways he raised me and some of the things he taught me was like, I don't know about that, Dad. And I used to get mad. Then I had to understand he was just only coming from, he just wanted the best for me. So he was trying to teach me the best way he knew how. And now I have to take that and try to do my best with it when I have my kids. And then they're going to do the same thing and doing the same thing, but it's never going to be perfect. Like you said, there's going to be mistakes, and we're human. And yeah, a lot of that stuff makes sense now that you put it that way, Joe, because we've had a lot of emotional things. We've talked about it, and I think that should be our next. I'll have my dad come in here, and you, and me, and maybe even your son, and we'll talk about that. Well, maybe
I'll make sure not to cry then.
Yeah,
no, I'm joking.
But I think that was the next thing where we've been talking about lately, and because he'll love to have that conversation, because I don't know, because where we were then versus now, like, he's so proud of me, he's happier. I mean, dude, sometimes just I think last semester he just went out and paid one of my student loans because he was just so proud and happy. Versus back then when we were going through it, I'm gonna start making you pay rent and all this and that. I mean, it was bad. But gradually he had to learn.
Yeah,
I'm so glad. He was aware too. I think that's a big thing. A lot of people aren't aware in everything that they do in life. Yeah, he was aware, and he because we're now talking about my little cousin who's I'm trying to get him to come here because he's into videography.
Oh, great.
And his mom is the same way my dad. His mom doesn't want him to go to college because she knows his first maybe 1 or 2 years are going to be terrible. He's probably going to have to drop classes. He's probably going to fail. But he's talented. He's willing. He's not dumb. He's just sometimes he has his lazy moments, and he already has a mindset. He wants to go to school at parties. And me and my dad are trying to talk to her like, yeah, I went through the same phase, but I didn't go through the partying phase. It was more like I just didn't do well because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And
it's hard as a parent too, because you want your kid to succeed.
Yep.
And so any kind of frustration or disappointment that comes out really does come from a place of love, as weird as that is, right? But like I had similar issues, and I just had to recognize, okay, I'm getting too engaged, too involved in this. I need to step back a little bit and let him live his life, and it may not be the normal path, going back to what we talked about. But pressuring someone into something that they're not ready for is never going to work.
Yeah.
So, and I've learned that definitely as a parent. So we're always trying to get better.
Yeah. It's and I had to understand that too, because it got so bad. I was staying at my cousin's house every weekend just to avoid being in the house with him, because it wasn't even trying to pressure me being in college. He was just more bad about the fact that I failed, and it wasn't even that I just couldn't go back to school. It was like it got so bad, Joe. I had a 1.8, so I couldn't even get FAFSA anymore.
Right.
My dad was like, "I'm not helping you with any more loans," so I just had to drop out, and then took a gap year, and then when I went back, I had to pay it on my own to prove to him that I was responsible, I was ready, I was going to be more mature about it, I was going to take it seriously. And those were some rough years. Those were really rough years. I mean, we would get into very heated conversations, and then when I finally found my stride and I came here, it was like, I don't know. It's like we have a way better relationship when it comes to certain things. Like, we actually sit down and talk. I've never done that. Yeah, it's like that older son, old man. We sit down and have conversation about anything now. Versus back then, it was just only time we would talk if we want to go get something to eat. Like, that's it. Yeah, but it's beautiful how.
And you recognize your role in that too.
Yeah, right? I was. I think I was struggling with. I was more struggling with I didn't know what I wanted to do but also I shouldn't have stayed at Dalton. Honestly, I don't know, Joe, because I had switched from exercise science education or something like that, because I wanted to be a coach or something, and then I switched to psychology, and that class was just, I had to drop it, like it was no choice. Now I did fail a couple of courses that I could have passed. That was probably where I failed, and then I got into deep depression where my dad still never knows. I'll never tell him, but if he's watching, he'll know now. Yeah. Because I was struggling because I didn't know what I wanted to do, and it was killing. But I didn't know at the time that it was that. I just knew, like, I just didn't want to go to class anymore. Like, it was days where my roommate would have to come check on me because I would be in my room nonstop. I would never come out. Just lock my door. I might would come outside just to order pizza and everything, but I would just literally stop going to class. I would stop seeing daylight. I would just stay in my room, play Fortnite, sleep, play Fortnite, sleep.
Wow. And
it got that bad because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. So, and I felt like I was failing myself. I knew I was failing my father, so I knew I was going home to when he found out. And it was bad. It was a rough patch. And I needed that, Joe. I never thought about it that way. I was like, yeah, what was my flaw in that? But
yeah, that's hard. That's great reflection now. Yeah.
I probably should have stayed. I probably should have took the gap years that I needed just entirely until I knew what I wanted to do. But yeah. Glad I came to Piedmont now and I kind of know what I want.
Oh, we love you here, Jared.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're here.
I love you guys. You guys always. That's what I love about this. It's like a family, you know. And the professors, what I love about you and Professor Jackson and Dr. Moss, you guys know how to guide without holding hands. Like, you know, it's like times I come to you and you'll give me advice, but I'll leave like, what? That didn't answer my question. And then I start to do it. I'm like, oh, okay, now I see what he's saying. He's trying to give me an answer without giving me the exact answer of what to do.
Yeah, yes, I'm glad you see that. Just this morning, a student came in my office and needed help with signing up for a blog that I have people sign up for in one of my classes. And and he was like, okay, so I'm like, you got an email with it about it. It's like, okay, now what do I do? I'm like, follow the instructions in the email. And he's like, okay. So do I click that? I'm like, listen, try to follow the instructions, see if you can do it. If you try it and fail, then come talk to me. But I'm like, it's not going to be good if I just
sit there and hold my
if I just take your phone and do it for you. You know, no, that's you got to figure out the answers on yourself. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's just helping guide. That's kind of one of the pinnacles of good teaching, you know, is I remember learning from one of my mentors who's a professor, or he passed away, but professor, like, one of the things you never do is, like, if you're teaching like a lab-based class, like if you're teaching us something, how to do something like video editing, you never want to grab the mouse, right, and go in control. You always want to just guide and let them have control, because then you're not teaching anymore, then you're just doing it. Yeah. So, and that's hard to do sometimes. It is. But yeah, I mean, and there are times when you do grab the mouse, like if the software's not loading or something's really weird. But yeah, that was something that I remember, and I carry that in like everything I teach. Like, you don't want to do it for them; you just want to show them how they can do it and improve.
Well, Joe, I think we overstepped our time a little bit, but that's okay.
Hey, I love this chat. Thank you.
Appreciate it. We definitely. I mean, would you be willing to come back too?
Of course, yeah.
All right, bet. So
I think I need to call my mom now, but thank you.
I mean, yeah, I love these talks. Y'all don't understand. I have these talks with Joe all the time. We have our little therapy talks. I do it with Jackson too, but I'm scared to get Jackson in because I feel like Jackson would be too nervous. She would be worried about saying the wrong thing, but she never does. She always says stuff in the right way, even without stepping on some toes. But I don't know.
Yeah, and again, like, you know, she's a little more guarded about her personal life, and that's okay. Like, that's fine. You know, it's whatever people's comfort level is.
Yep, and I love that about people. But I love about this platform that I'm trying to build now, because I love when people come in here transparent, because it can help the next person that's watching.
Absolutely. That's why I've been transparent. And I've had depression, suffered from mental issues as well. And I am very transparent about stuff like that, because I feel like I can help people, and people know, okay, oh wow, Joe went through that. Maybe I could talk to him. He knows what I'm going through. And I feel like just, as a Christian, as a human being, that's how I feel like I can give back, to the world a little bit.
That's the best way to give back.
Yeah. And I genuinely like helping people. Like it's a joy I have. So
same here, Joe. But yeah, Joe, I want to thank you for coming on this podcast. And
of course.
Went better than I thought it was. I was a little nervous because I was like, I never had anybody. One of the biggest complaints I've had from inside my family is I be having too many young people on here, especially with some of the topics.
You calling me old?
No, Joe, I'm there with you. I'm the 99. I get.
Do you know how old I am?
40.
No.
You're in the 50s, Joe?
No, not quite. 47.
Okay, that's not bad. That's still young. That's young to me. I think once you get
tell you
50,
once I cross like 44, 45, I'm like, oh my gosh, more than half my life is probably over.
Yeah,
I'm at the age though now, you just watch when you get to the 40s and you go to the doctor every year for your checkup, which is really important to do because there have been a couple scares I had, but caught early, they can take care of that. But that's when it's like, oh, wait a second. I can't keep eating Funyuns and and hot dogs and pizza and crap because my metabolism, I just can't burn that off. It doesn't matter how much I work out. So that's another thing I'm focusing on this year is just trying to act my age when I am consuming food.
I believe I got you, Joe. I believe you can. You can. I forget my words, yo. I'm not gonna lie, Joe. That's one thing I gotta work on. That's why I'm starting to read so I can use more. We're gonna say smarter words.
You know who I thought if you watch, maybe not speeches of Barack Obama, but if you watch like interviews or things.
Joe, let me tell you, I don't hate it. I love it, but it also makes me feel so insecure because I cannot
articulate.
I can articulate Barack Obama. What's the dude that always talk about racism? The one that he used to be on Don.
Yeah, Don Lemon.
Not Don Lemon. He used to be on. Oh my gosh. He's like Muslim. He's like, I don't think he's Muslim. He used to be on Don.
Cornel West?
No. He's African American. He used to be on Donahue's show all the time. And they used to have kind of conversations like this where they would open the floor to him and why it's on the tip of my tongue, and I say his name all the time because they talk about him on another podcast I listen to. Donahue and it's like Farrah. No.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah. Louis Farrakhan.
Louis Farrakhan, yeah.
Yeah.
Like him. As much as people hate Andrew Tate, is very well spoken. It's just a lot of people. Like I hate watching him. I love watching the interviews and I love the way they speak, but I know I could never. I can never get to that point.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to. One of the things I always try to do is expose myself to people. Even if I disagree with them, because I think you can learn a lot, just because you disagree with someone, on a certain issue, it doesn't completely isolate. I don't even know what I'm trying to say.
I know what you're saying. That's the whole point of this platform. Is
right.
To just have these conversations because you never know. It could come to some grounds. It can come to some resolutions. Like,
yeah.
I joke all the time, but I'm serious. Like, one day I want to have a Ku Klux Klan member here and maybe a civil rights leader, and we really come to amends. Like, why are we clashing? Like, we're human. We're all the same flesh. Like, what's the issue here? Like, what do you really think? White supremacy is the way to go and the way America can flourish. Like, and if so, give me details of why. Give me historical facts. Like, just conversations like that. People that don't see the eye to eye, but it can possibly resolve something. But
yeah,
so
I hope so.
Yeah, hope so. But again, Joe, we done edited this podcast like 3 times. But yeah, Joe, you want to shout out anything? Your socials or anything?
My socials, I'm at Dr.Joe.Dennis on Instagram, and I'm.
Yeah, you don't have to. I'm just saying.
I'm Dr. Joe Dennis on Twitter, which man, what a hellhole that's become. But
X.
yeah, I refuse to call it X. Boy, what the hell happened to Elon Musk? I used to respect that guy.
Yeah.
But,
I feel like he's just doing stuff because he's rich now, you know?
yeah.
He's just, because I was never a Twitter person before. What I've heard, it was just, every time I hear Elon Musk and X, there's always something, he just changes.
Yeah.
Something stupid. You know what I'm saying? It's like something that just doesn't make sense. Like everybody can have a blue check now.
Yeah.
Little things like that.
Yeah.
And then he did a poll. Didn't he do a poll? I don't know if that was a rumor. He did a poll of if it get a certain amount of votes, yes, that he would sell it or something. And then.
Oh, really? I don't know about that.
But I think that was a rumor.
Yeah.
But yeah. But yeah. I'm like, oh snap! I'm trying to do something different, y'all. I feel like my dad can feel us talking about him because he just texted me like 17 minutes ago.
Ah.
But
My son. That's so cool.
Yeah, I love my dad. I want to do something different. I actually started an email, so we can do some email episodes.
Nice.
So y'all can look at things Real Talk Radio 626@gmail.com. So send us some emails. You know, if you want to get something off your chest, a topic you want us to talk about, or maybe a review of the episode. But anyway, I want to thank y'all for listening. On YouTube, just subscribe, comment if you liked anything. Like it, dislike it, don't matter. Share with your folks if you like it. Audio platforms, I don't know what they got, so I guess just give me like how many ever stars you think I deserve a review. And I want to take us out with an inspirational quote. I was in the book I was reading, Charlemagne the God, but the original person I think that quoted it was Ziglar. Do you know what that is?
Zig Ziglar. Yes,
Yeah.
he was a motivational speaker.
Oh, okay. So I think it's just a quote I think everybody can take away from is he said, fear has two meanings: forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. The choice is yours. We're out.
Love it.